Hello, my fellow music lovers. I'm Allison Hagendorf, and welcome to the show. This is where we celebrate the universal love of music and the rock and roll spirit that lives in each of us. I am so proud to be kicking off the month of March, Women's History Month, with a slate of fierce femmes who transcend their craft. They pave the way, they inspire, they are symbols of strength and empowerment. My guest today is the one, the only Joan Jett, a trailblazing, history-making living legend. We talk all about the obstacles Joan has had to repeatedly knock down as a woman in rock, her involvement in the motivating children's series Rebel Girls, her passion for inspiring the next generation, and why the term rock star really pisses her off. It all starts now. Joan, so good to see you. You look amazing. Like, I need to know what your fountain of youth secret is, because you look gorgeous. You look you're ageless. You look fantastic.
Thank you very much, but actually, I'm not doing anything. It's freaking me out because I'm so immobile. I haven't been doing anything. After a tour, it takes me a little bit of time to want to do anything.
I hear
And then
that.
and you get the holidays, and they kick your butt, and it's like I just want to just do nothing before I have to start doing whatever. So I probably put on a couple of pounds eating peanut bars and just chilling out. So thank you for the compliment.
Yeah,
But
you look gorgeous, and you looked absolutely incredible in the Super Bowl spot. I mean, how fun was that with you, Paul Stanley, Gareth Clark Jr., Ozzy? Like, tell me about that spot. Were you so psyched to be part of it? It was a blast.
well, I was yes. Once I said yes and I decided to go for it. I was excited about it. But it's like it's new territory for me. So I want to be really careful to not. You want to be able to laugh at yourself,
Yeah.
but you also don't want to do something really dumb. I can't explain it. I'd know it when I see it. Like I don't want to do that. But this was how pretty much the concept that was explained to me about rock star. Using the word rock star, and it has been annoying. Certainly
I
when it
bet.
certainly when it started. Now we're all kind of used to it, but when it started, it was just annoying.
Right.
So
It's like,
it was funny that other people picked up on it and possibly agree. And I thought it was shot really well. We all did it separately, so we each
mhm.
had our own day, so we never saw each other.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I know those guys throughout my whole career. All of them from like the Runaways days. Maybe not
Wow.
Ozzy. He was my very first concert. But
Really?
yeah, Black Sabbath at the Baltimore Civic Center.
Oh my God. That's
Yeah,
incredible. That was your first concert. That's
yeah.
badass.
So, but I met him, years later. But so it was fun, and I thought the commercial came off exactly what they described to me.
It was perfect. It was, just so you know, it came across awesome. It was badass. It's a total instant classic spot, sort of like that Betty White Snickers spot she did that was just like completely propelled her into a whole new generation of popularity. But the spot
Right,
was
right.
awesome. The spot. And I was laughing because I sign off this show like you're a rock star, and I was hysterical. But I feel like maybe it's okay because I actually am talking to a lot of rock stars directly. So
Yeah.
maybe I get a free pass.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But I mean, I understand it, but
Yeah.
when you intellectually, when you think about why people would use that of all the phrases that they could use, and I get it, but when you're just reacting to it viscerally, as
Yeah.
that's what other people describe you are. I mean, I don't walk around thinking of myself as a rock star. I don't. I'm a musician, and I'm lucky that some people know who I am, and other people don't. So you got to be okay with that, and I am.
You're so humble, Joan.
But at
You're
the
so
other,
awesome.
did you see the other commercial?
Oh, I
With
saw.
just that
Yeah,
her
I saw.
music?
I did. I
Yeah,
did. So
that was
good.
cool.
So
The
good.
flag football stuff, yeah.
Yes. So, so cool. Yeah. Which makes me think, and I want to talk about the Rebel Girls stuff that you have been part of. And for people not familiar with Rebel Girls, it's basically it's empowering a new generation of girls to dream big by amplifying real life stories of extraordinary women. I have the entire series here. For those of you listening, I'm actually holding up the book, and it's so cool. You actually do the forward for this book, which really sets the tone. Why was that important for you to be part of the Rebel Girls series?
Well, I mean, I'll tell you, this book, well, now I guess it's a series of books, but
Hmm.
the very first one, it's a children's book for kids.
Oh yeah, it's
Okay.
basically trying to create a new generation of girls who feel empowered and that they can dream big. They could do anything
Right,
they
but
set
it's
their heart.
still
Yeah,
it's a kids it was a kids
yeah,
book.
yeah.
And so the first one, I don't recall everybody, all the women in it, but they were all really heavy duty women, politicians, scientists, and I was the only musician in there. And we didn't know about it. It's like somebody told us about it because their kid had been someone read them the story, and so we didn't even know about it. We found out about it after the fact, and I was knocked out. I was so honored. I thought, wow, of all the people they could have chosen to represent the musician in this first book of all these women. I mean, that's really special. That's the kind of
Wow.
thing that where I feel a mark. I've made a mark
Yeah,
because that's I'm representing all of women in music, and I think it's more the spirit than my actual songs is what they're getting at is the spirit of perseverance and that you can do it and you can achieve what you want to achieve. So I think that's how I choose to look at it.
of course.
Only because it's hard for me to think it's about the songs necessarily when you're talking about all these other women of achievement. So it's more than just the music. I don't really know. Maybe it's hard for me to judge it because it's me, but I was very honored and floored to be involved in that first one. And so, of course, I want to be part of bringing more stories to girls all over the world and boys,
Yeah,
by the way, who are affected by these books as well on many
of course.
levels. Some read them firsthand, and some are affected because their sisters are reading it or something. And I think it's a wonderful opportunity to tell all these stories and just educate all of us, me
Absolutely.
included, about all these women I didn't even know about, or maybe have heard of some of them, but don't know enough, and it's
Right.
since we're not teaching everything in schools, it's important that we have something with genuine knowledge in it.
Of course. And also in this book, on the cover of this one, you're on it, and so is Nandy Bushell, the 12-year-old drummer. Do you know much about her? Have you
Oh,
connected with her at
wow.
all?
Is she in what band?
She's actually an upcoming guest on the show as well, but she is that drummer that she played in the Foo Fighters. Dave Grohl called her like the coolest drummer in the world. She played with Lenny Kravitz. It's incredible that she is 12. She'll be 13 soon. And she's already so committed and skilled and adept, and she can play multiple instruments. But what a
Wow.
huge role model,
What's
for
her
young
name?
girls. Nandy Bushell.
That's so
Yeah.
cool. Wow, maybe
Yeah.
if the Runaways ever get into the Hall of Fame, we're going to need to find a girl drummer because Sandy West, our iconic drummer, has passed away many years
Yeah.
ago, and we'd have to find somebody cool like
Yeah.
that. You know, that's a dream. That's just a dream. We'd
No,
have to.
totally.
The Runaways getting into the Hall of Fame is probably very unlikely. Probably
Do you think there could potentially ever be a Runaways reunion of sorts?
only in that context.
Right.
If we got into the Hall of Fame. I think, we could play a song or two. But we'd need somebody like
Nandy.
Andy.
Yeah.
And then you'd have to have everybody agree.
Right.
That's the hardest part, getting all the girls to say yes
Right. Right.
without their own ideas.
That would be very, very special. It's important to start young because I know that you were very fortunate that your parents were very supportive at a very early age for you. So, for people who might not have supportive parents or someone supportive around them, they can read this book and feel like I can do it, you know?
Yes, yes.
Because it's like things that happen to us when we're young that really set the tone. I know that when you first picked up the guitar, your guitar teacher was trying to have you do folk and was trying to steer you in a certain direction.
Yes, and also me being naive and not knowing anything about guitar, you know, obviously he had to teach me chords before I could play rock and roll.
Yeah.
But he didn't present it that way, he should his manner, maybe he was trying to say you have to learn to play before you can play rock and roll.
Right.
But he didn't, I think he was so flummoxed that he just didn't know what to do and tried to teach me on top of Old Smoky.
Oh my
And so
God.
it just turned me off because I didn't wanna go through that, and, I wanted him to teach me Black Sabbath and
Yeah.
the songs I was hearing that I was trying to play at home, "Smoke on the Water," the ones that every guitar player learns because they're big, fat, slow chords that you can manage.
He was clearly not a rock star. He was clearly not a rock star at all. He didn't get it. He didn't get it at all. Yeah, I mean, it's just so important. Like, for me, talking about empowerment and true empowerment is to know that Joan Jett is one of the biggest rock stars, not female rock stars, just rock stars, period, you know? And I think that's so important. What does empowerment mean to you?
I'm not really sure if I even
Mhm.
have thought about it myself. What does it mean to me? It's more than just your own power, I would think. Empowerment to me means more than just yourself. The fact that you could influence others, to me, that's empowerment of your own, um, whatever you want to call them, gifts, talents,
Mhm.
of your own stuff, putting it out there to hope that other people latch on and reach out and they feel their power. So to me, it's like not necessarily a one thing you do by yourself.
That's amazing.
And
Yeah.
I
It almost
think,
transcends yourself. True empowerment transcends you and is
yes,
able to
yes, I
lift up
believe
others.
so. I mean, if it's just all for you, how is that empowerment?
Right.
I mean, where are you
Right.
going to go? I mean, it just doesn't mean anything. It's like
Right.
I'm empowered. Okay, what does that mean? In
Yeah,
the day to day, in the second to second life, unless
for
you're,
sure.
you know, communicating with another, it's kind of hard to be empowered completely alone.
You're absolutely right. I think that when you're empowered, you're sort of liberated in a way to share, like you said, to share your own power, gifts, talents, energy, rock and roll spirit with others and to lift them up as well.
Yes, and I think it's an as well. I think it's an internal confidence that's not spoken or it's just an energy that's there saying,
Is this something you've always had? Do you feel like you've always had that innate confidence, or is that something that came over time?
I think it's always been there, but being very shy, it wouldn't come out until it had to come out. Something was so wrong that I had to go, "Ah," and say something or do something. I can't think of any really examples, but oh, yes, I can. I was just talking to my friend, my longest friend, who I've known since I'm 8 years old, right? And when I moved to that neighborhood in Maryland, and I was 8 years old, and I remember our backyards kind of touched, chain link fence, around the backyards, little backyard.
Mhm.
And I just moved in and I didn't know anybody, and there were a bunch of girls in the other yard playing kickball or something, and the ball went foul, and I yelled foul from up there, and that's how I met my friend Kathy, and we started arguing about whether it was foul or not. And but where did I get that to yell at a bunch of, not
Right.
yell at, but yell to a bunch of girls, "Hey, that was foul," and I don't even know them.
Right.
And it wasn't like, because I'm very shy, so it wasn't. I can't explain what I mean. It wasn't an aggressive move. It wasn't sort of a what you see today with people yelling at each other.
Yeah.
It was a very different energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. Even though you're shy, you still have this innate confidence that's just it's this energy that has to come out, you know?
Right, especially if I was sitting there watching it, and it's like I was into baseball and football, and so you know that innate sense of fairness. Hey, the ball's foul.
Right.
Call it.
If you had to call it like you saw it. I
Yeah.
love that. I
So
respect that.
I don't know what that means. If that's confidence or just a big mouth, but I didn't have a big mouth. I still don't on that level.
Mhm.
Rather keep to myself.
Except for when you're touring, you're just fire. I recently saw you on the stadium tour with Motley Crue, Def Leppard, Poison, and I mean, you are just such a force. I mean, also being the only female on that entire tour, I mean, is this
Yeah.
something that it still strikes you, or are you just so used to it at this point? I mean, that was a big one.
Well, I mean, I'm certainly aware of it. The sort of, I don't even know what you call it, just the past coming together with the present, and just everybody's memories of all those bands and what they stand for. I mean, it was a
Mhm.
bunch of different energy coming together. I had a really good time. The bands were all very friendly to us and treated us great, and it was reciprocal.
Yeah,
'Cause it's hard to do those tours. It's very hard. You want it to be smooth, and you wanna work together. Because at this point, why do it if it's gonna be unpleasant? There's just
right,
really not a point to it. And I don't need to be in my own self. I don't need to be more famous, or, need more money or whatever. I mean, yeah, you could always use all that stuff, but it's not important enough for me to not have a good time at this point?
right. And you did though. You had a good
Oh,
time
yeah,
on the
I
tour.
had a
Oh, that's
great time.
great.
It was a really good experience, and I liked going on first,
Yeah,
because I think we got to fire up the crowd and lay down sort of the energy and just say, "Go, guys, top it."
yeah.
Not in any kind of bad, negative way, but, challenging each other every night.
That's right. It was like you set the
Mhm.
tone, you set the bar. You were like, "Go for it." Yeah. But yeah, you set the tone. You were an incredible opener. It was such an amazing night. And I'm excited about the Bryan Adams tour that was just announced. That'll be great too.
Yeah, man, this is gonna be fun. Maybe met Brian a long time ago, but it's gonna be a lot of fun. I know he's excited about it, and we are, and apparently, people like the idea, the fans out there,
Oh, for
so
sure.
it should be a blast.
Oh, it's gonna be
Once
a
again,
total blast,
it should just be a fun, relaxing vibe.
for sure. Do you think that possibly you'll do some more acoustic songs? Because I wanna talk all about Changeup, your first acoustic
Oh,
album.
yeah, we're gonna definitely be doing, well, we'll put more in the set if it works out time-wise, but we'll definitely be doing our single now, which is "Long Time,"
Yep.
and, so, yeah, we'll be playing that for sure, at the very least, and maybe more.
I was so excited that you finally did your first acoustic album, and I am very fortunate because I was at the Bad Reputation film screening in LA, where you first did those couple of
Right,
songs
right,
acoustically,
right, right.
which was so special that I got to be there for sort of that, like, inaugural acoustic set.
Totally, because you saw what made us go, "Wow, we could do an album like that." You know what I mean? It, like,
Exactly.
happened in
Yeah.
that moment.
Yeah. It was so cool to see your songs, which are filled with so much energy and spirit and edge and grit and teeth, and then all of a sudden see them in this totally stripped down, raw, intimate way. It almost
Yeah,
kind of gave the songs a whole new life, you
exactly,
know?
exactly. That was the whole reason we wanted to do it because, for us, I think I feel, and I can't speak for everybody, but I feel like, we've written a lot of really good songs with good lyrics, and it's very easy and for any band. You get past it gets passed over. Everybody focuses on the single. You work very hard on an album for a while. A single comes out, it does well or it doesn't, and people just move on, and you're not sure what the fans do. How deep do they go in the actual songs and the tracks? They listen to them, but there's a lot of good songs in there that never get a chance, in my view, or to my knowledge, to get a chance to be heard. So it was our way to kind of reintroduce some of them, and with a new spin. And long time, like, I love the words, the lyrics to Long Time are really, I love them. They're really good.
I love Long Time, and it kind of puts a spotlight on the song itself, the actual songwriting, like you said, the actual lyrics, and really just strips the song back, and it's just a great timeless song that's applicable now. It's just
Right.
really, really special. Very, very special, Joan. I really love the acoustic album.
And the more we rehearse it and stuff, that I can really pull back because, sometimes your voice isn't there enough. You can't sing this song hard.
Right.
It's just, I sang it hard when we played it electrically, but you can't do it with the acoustic. You've got to find a way to either change the melody or accept the fact that if you do hit the high note, it's going to be raggedy,
Mhm.
maybe a little off key or whatever. And so, yeah, it gives the whole song a "I'm sitting on the corner just playing this song for you" vibe. And that's what it feels like. And it's fun and it's different every night because you're not quite sure where your voice is going to be.
I love that. Yeah.
So some nights it might be a more energetic, or stronger vocal performance, but that's not to say that the more more pulled back vocal performances aren't, just as heartfelt or as good because they're just different every night.
Totally.
And
Yeah.
if I can deal with it listening to myself, then it should be okay for everyone else because I like listening to my own voice. It's one of those things that
I hear you.
can irritate you.
Yeah, no, I think the acoustic songs give it a certain vulnerability
Yes.
that's really, really special. I think that's what it is. It's like, because you're always, with a wall of electric sound is like one vibe, and then just having that stripped down, sort of raw, vulnerable performance is it's cool. It's really cool.
Yeah, and aren't we all vulnerable?
Of course. Of
We really
course.
are, and it's hard for people to admit it because everyone wants to put a strong face on, and I get that, man. That's all of our armor because life is hard,
Yeah.
and a lot of it does suck, and it's
Mhm.
painful, and we all,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
carry those wounds every day, and music, makes it better.
It sure does.
It's a beautiful thing, we can all share it together and be hurt together
Yep.
and then heal together.
Music is medicine.
It's totally medicine.
You had been avoiding doing acoustic sort of your whole career, and I think even when MTV was doing, like, the MTV Unplugged series, weren't you one of the first people asked to do it?
Yeah, we just didn't, I wasn't there yet.
Mhm.
I just wasn't there yet, and I didn't ever play, acoustic guitar. I didn't use it to write. I didn't, if it was the only guitar around, yeah, I might pick it up for a little bit, but just the whole thing, it's a different feel.
Yeah,
I think it's a harder guitar to play than an electric guitar.
right.
It's just a different feel. The strings are depending on the guitar, what you're working with. I'm sure some of them are very easy to play as well, but um, we were usually banging on very cheap acoustics.
I think it's awesome that, doing this acoustic album really kind of brought you out of your comfort zone, and it pushes you. It pushes you as an artist, it pushes you as a person. What are you sort of most proud about doing this album?
I'm most proud that I was able to turn around kind of a not super positive attitude towards it.
Mhm.
I know we were going to do it. And even though I know it went well in LA and it sounded good, it's just like, I think it was just the fear of going, how am I going to do these songs? How
Mhm.
am I going to sing these melodies? It was a fear of the unknown, really,
Mhm.
like everything,
Of course.
fear, so you don't go there. But, it really forced me to, like you said, rediscover the songs, fall in love with them again, and figure out, because now I really wanted to do it, how to sing them,
Yeah.
even if it was difficult, to let that vulnerability come in and not have to go, we got to sing that line again. It's got to be perfect. It's like
Yeah.
sometimes you just got to go with how it feels. And so, yeah, this was a whole learning experience for me that was happening as we were doing it.
That's great.
So, yeah, I mean, you can learn things even as as old as I am. You still can learn new things, and that's a good lesson to know too. Is you know, yeah, you can keep your walls up, but and my walls are pretty strong, but they came down, and it was great, and just a good lesson. Not be so fearful, and that you can handle it, whatever it is.
I love that.
You'll find a way. That's what we do is we adapt. So
That's right. You have to make yourself a little uncomfortable, for sure.
yeah, to go, how do I get out of here
Right, right.
in a way that I can live with.
Yeah. It's crazy to think that, albums like Bad Reputation, Rock and Roll, and Album are celebrating 40 plus years. It's just wild. If you could go back to yourself around that 40-year mark, what would you say to yourself? How would you what advice would you give yourself?
I mean, I did enjoy every minute, but to pay attention and really be there when you're doing what you're doing instead of thinking about what's next and where you're going. I mean, it's hard to do when you're in that
Yeah.
moment, and certainly, when you're 20 whatever and you're running around, it's hard to just sit in the moment and do those things, but really be present and enjoy
Yeah.
this amazing thing you get to do for work.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just incredible, and you don't know how long it's going to last, when you'll not be able to do it either physically or that people don't want to see you, you just don't know. So you got to really care about everything and every gig, and no matter how many people you're playing for, because I know there's a lot of people that have been famous and played for a lot of people and take it for granted. And then they can't fill a small building,
Yeah.
but then they feel ashamed and they cancel a date or something. It's like,
Oh,
play for the small crowd. What the fuck?
yeah.
I
Who
mean,
cares?
is it about numbers or is it about the music?
The connection.
Ultimately, it's got to be about that. I know you got to, make a living, but after that, everything else is gravy.
That's right. That's great advice. And being present is probably something that we can all take away from this for sure. It's like no matter what you do, it's being in the moment and not taking anything for
Yes,
granted. You're so right. You're so
and it's
right.
hard to do. I
It
mean, no
is
matter
hard to
what you're
do.
doing, you're
Right.
always going someplace else,
Yeah.
even when the best shit's happening.
And you also never know what's about to happen. If you think about, take you for example, in the 70s, you're in the Runaways, you're crushing, you're part of this whole scene, you're doing it in LA, the Ramones are doing it in New York, the Sex Pistols are doing it in London. Then the band breaks up. You're forging forward. Now you're doing it, in yourself in a new iteration. You have all of these songs and you have 23 record labels who are like not feeling it. like not having it, rejections after you've already created this trailblazing all female band, you know? How did you at that time just keep on going? What fueled that drive of yours?
It was a very difficult period, because all the girl after the band broke up, everybody got record deal offers but me. I was like not really the girl, you know what I mean? I didn't look like a girl, I didn't act like a girl. So, I don't know what that means. I guess that means, you're not fuckable or something. Because it's all about that, in this business.
Mhm.
Fuckable money. That's all that's what all of this is about. But I'll tell you, I was very close to joining the military because I didn't know what to do. And I knew I was like in bad shape. I'm gonna wind up, you know, accidentally killing myself or just, I was in not a good place. And I thought maybe if I join the military, I'll get to travel, I'll meet people, I'll get some discipline, I'll learn something. But then literally 2 weeks later, I had signed on to do a movie, write music for a movie before the Runaways broke up, and that was still a contract, and I had to do this, which was good. But I needed to find somebody to write songs with, and my manager at the time, Toby Mamus, who had worked with uh, Blondie, he was a PR guy, but he was managing us at the time, and he knew I had to write these songs, and he knew Kenny Laguna from, I don't know where he knew Kenny from, but knew of him and knew that he could write songs and would he come out and work with me. And he had already turned down doing the Runaways, producing the Runaways once, so I always dig him with that. He thinks he would have made us famous, and I say no, no, it wouldn't have happened because the timing wasn't right. Anyway, so I met Kenny to write songs. He came out to meet me in LA in I guess summer of '79, something like that. And we wrote the 8 songs. I had like 3 days to write them. We wrote the songs, and the first one was a song called "You Don't Know What You Got." But the beginnings of Bad Reputation were definitely in that group of songs. But that wasn't one that we was for the movie.
Got it. Got it.
And but that's once I met Kenny, he didn't just write the songs and then take off.
Right.
Told him my whole story, and he just saw this person that was struggling to follow a dream, and he knew how much misogyny was going on, but he had friends in the business, and he figured, I can get her a record deal easy. So he called people, and they all said no. And when he pressed them, they were just like, we're just not interested. She plays guitar. She's not feminine enough or whatever. They just were saying no.
Mhm.
So I don't think, it really sunk in with him. So we went and I wanted to form a band. I wanted to be guys because if it's girls, everybody will compare it to the Runaways.
Runaways, yeah.
So we formed a band out in LA, Blackhearts,
Yeah.
and came to New York. And eventually all those guys, one guy stayed with the band for quite some time, the bass player, Gary Ryan. But the guys that came out from LA didn't stay in the band too long. Eric Amble went on to do other things. He's a lead guitar player, but he's a big producer,
Mhm.
does a lot of, I don't really know exactly, but a lot of writing and producing. And, he's very successful. And I think it's great, and I'm very happy for
Yeah.
him.
But you also created your own label. It's like when all the labels were rejecting you, you were like, "Okay."
Yes, that's what I was getting to. Is that once we made these songs, we had like a demo, and they had Bad Reputation, I Love Rock and Roll, Crimson and Clover, Do You Want to Touch Me, and one other one. We sent these to all the record labels, the big ones and the little ones. We got 23 rejection letters, which we all still
Oh, that's
have.
amazing. That's
We have the
amazing.
big guys, and I won't name names, but all the names you can think of
Uh-huh.
said no. No songs here. You better do a song search. lose the guitar. You know, really what they were saying is,
Lose the
"Fuck
guitar.
her, we
Lose
don't
the
have any
guitar.
interest in her." You know, either they just didn't wanna sign me, they didn't like me.
Well, you were unknown. You hadn't existed yet. There had been nothing like you up until this point, so they couldn't wrap their heads around this unknown.
Why could some people wrap their head around it and not them, you know?
Right.
I guess, you know, everyone's they're a sheep, really,
Right. That's
you know,
exactly it.
and
Yeah.
but one of them eventually did go out on a limb, and that would be Neil Bogart of Boardwalk Records.
Yeah.
Boardwalk was his little boutique, label, I guess, that he would do rock and roll, and Neil loved me and the band and the songs. So this is one big guy that did get it. And so he distributed, it would come out. It was on Blackheart Records, but Boardwalk put it out. And but Neil died the week it went number one, and he never
Oh
got to
my
see it
god. Oh.
become number one, and not physically here.
Oh.
Hopefully, he saw it in spirit
Yeah.
because you know they did a whole lot to help us, you know, and we wouldn't have gone that far without Neil. You know, he's another my
Mhm.
little angel.
Well, he was a visionary. There's employees and there's visionaries.
Yeah, there's you
So
know president of record labels, and then there's visionaries, and he was a
mhm.
visionary, and
Aw.
he could see that, and what the other guys couldn't see.
I wanna point out that Blackheart is one of the longest running indie labels and one of the first female artist-owned labels. So, entrepreneur Joan Jett as well.
Thank
Love that.
you.
Love that. I mean, just, you continue to inspire. When I interviewed Miley Cyrus, she said that she learned not to take no for an answer from you. She gave you full credit for that sort of ethos that resonates with her and that she thinks about all the time. So, how does it make you feel to hear that you continue to inspire and influence?
It's really indescribable. It's surreal. It doesn't feel like you're talking about your own self. You know, it's
Aw.
like
Yeah.
somebody else they're talking about because you know I'm just me, and I don't think of myself like that. But you know, and it's not meant in a, you know, no, no, no. That's
Yeah.
not what I mean. It's like you have a dream and people say, no, that can't happen, or no, we can't do that. And you go, well, thank you. I'll go somewhere else or whatever. But you don't give up. You know, no is the opposite of yes. So, you know, you just have to keep
Yeah.
going. And, you know, certainly it's easier to fight for your dreams because it is a fight or a struggle. It's great to have other people that believe in you. Whether it could be your friend, it could be your parents, it could be you know your brother and sister, it could be whatever, a teacher, just somebody that gets what you're trying to do. It's not telling you no, even if they don't really understand you, and they're just supporting you.
Right.
That's really important, and I think
So important.
is more important than the people supporting ever know.
Mhm. That's right.
You know,
Absolutely.
support people don't know till later how important they were
Mhm.
in creating that person.
Yeah. I do something on the show called Deep Cuts, and it's basically just a Q and A, like a kind of a lightning round.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Name a song, artist, or album that changed your life.
David Bowie,
Love it.
Ziggy Stardust, Diamond Dogs. Actually, Diamond Dogs would be more appropriate. That's what came out right when I was in high school, before I left high school. And so it was like right at that perfect time.
That impressionable imprinting time. It's
Yep.
like that
Yep.
becomes part of you.
Yep.
Exactly. What is a song that you wish you wrote?
God, that's so hard to answer because there's
It is so hard.
so many good ones. Um, I mean, we were talking about Bowie, so but Rebel Rebel's always
Ah,
over, you know, it's like overdone. But that's a great riff, and it's one I wish I had written. Um,
yeah.
Pretty much any Social Distortion song, Story of My Life,
So good.
Ball and Chain. I mean, those songs are just really, you know, like personal songs about feeling like you're not enough or how everything always goes wrong for you.
Mhm.
So I can really relate. and I'm sure a lot of kids out there can relate too. And
Absolutely.
so sometimes though, those kind of songs where you really get to the root of it.
Yeah, I love that. I love Social Distortion. I love hearing you say that. Do you have a favorite movie?
Cabaret.
Great.
Most influential.
If you weren't a musician, what would you be?
I'd work with plants or something.
I love that.
I'd be maybe in the forest or something with nature
Yeah,
or animals or kids in combination.
that's awesome.
Teach them not to be little assholes and not to be,
Yeah,
you can't be
exactly.
sure what they're getting at home.
It's
Everyone
true.
gets a ribbon, doesn't work.
What is your most prized possession?
Besides my guitars, my Toto toilet seat.
That
Have you
is
ever been on one of
amazing.
them?
No,
You
I
ever been on the
haven't.
Oh, no, okay.
I'm learning so much from you. This is
No, the
fantastic. This is
Toto,
great.
man, it's got a bidet in there and everything, so it's just
Wow.
one-stop shopping.
Okay, noted, noted.
People are always shocked when I say that, but,
I get it. It's comfort. Why not?
it's one of those few extravagances that, I have,
Great.
but I like it.
Yeah, I think it's great. Respect.
Every public toilet in Japan is one of these.
Wow.
They have no regular toilets, they all wash you, it's amazing.
We need to get
You have to
on
go to
that.
Japan to check it out.
Yeah, I know, you're so right. What is something fans would be surprised to learn about you?
That I have cats?
You're a cat lover.
Well, I'm an animal lover, but, it's hard to have other animals, if you're leaving.
Right.
Cats seem to be the most,
Independent.
but they still get, visited a couple of times a day
Yeah.
to get, for food and stuff, but it's not like a dog where you have to walk them but they get very dog-like missing me, they
Aw.
howl and wreck things and shoot things up and spit them all over the place, and
Aw. What are their names?
Felicia and Cleopatra.
If you could meet any celebrity, dead or alive, who would it be?
I don't know, man. Maybe I'd go back to Bowie, even though I met
Mhm.
him. I didn't get to sit down and, like, shoot the shit with him,
Yeah.
and just talk, but, you gotta be careful. The last thing he wants to do would be sit down and answer, like, "What was it like to make Ziggy Stardust?" Well, you know what I mean? It's like, that comes down the road,
Great.
You can't do that, but I'll never
Yeah.
get a chance unless we meet someplace else.
Hmm. Are there words you live by?
Yeah, kinda, but you're gonna think I'm crazy or other people will. That this is fleeting, it's temporary, that I'm not doing this stuff, I'm just here, receiver, I'm the vehicle,
Yeah.
and, there are not 2 things, which means we're all one,
Mhm.
it's so true, and if you think of things like a flock of birds out over anywhere, a big flock of birds, and they're flying, and all of a sudden they all turn, and they all turn. Who's doing that? Who's saying turn left? No, no, it's not the first guy does it and then the guys behind follow. They all do it as one.
Yeah.
That's like one brain. How does that happen?
Yeah.
It's a deeper lesson if we'd fucking pay attention
Yeah.
and stop being like, oh, this is more so important.
Yeah.
But, that's what people want to pay attention to while they're on the earth. That's what am I going to do? You can't change it, really, not fast anyway. Change is slow, as we see, 40 years later, and I don't think much has changed for women.
Mhm.
It's good PR, and there are more girls doing things and women doing things, but um, we're just not there yet.
Mhm. You're absolutely right. We still have a long way to go. A long way to go, for sure. Last but not least, but what does rock and roll mean to you?
Can I be honest? I'd say, well, there's two answers. The words rock and roll they don't mean as much as they used to at all. Because now it's just a phrase,
Right.
to me. It's been captured by the zeitgeist or whatever that means. It's when I was in the Runaways, so many people didn't want to be in a rock band. That was thought of as like, kind of gross and like outlaw kind of thing. And people like the masses did not want to be that. They didn't want to be pop stars. They wanted to watch that, but they didn't want to be that. And it's
Mhm.
just so weird to me how all of that changed. And now Rockstar is what everybody wants, even the politicians, that word, because it used to mean edge. It used to mean, and kind of out of control, but, you not don't know what's gonna happen next, which is different than a rock and roller. A rock star is different than a rock and roll musician who doesn't really give a shit. It's great if you become famous, and it's great if you're playing in front of a bunch of people, and it's great if you make money, but that's not the point.
Right.
That's not the main thing. You wanna play music to a lot of people. So if you become famous, that's great, but if you fall out of favor, that's okay. You're not gonna freak out.
A rock star is almost about like an extrinsic motivation. It's about appealing to the masses and to many, whereas that rock and roll spirit is something internal that you feel and that's part of you.
A rock star is just a stamp now.
Right.
It doesn't mean what it used to. Rock star, I mean, it's like that commercial that we did on the Super Bowl. It's like,
Right.
it will never mean what it used to mean?
Right.
Sometimes music is so prescient. Andy Warhol, everybody knew is gonna be there 15 minutes. I mean, it's so true.
So true.
It's scary, though.
The 15 minutes thing comes at the expense of art most of the time.
Of course.
Well, you are rock and roll and a rock star in one, confirmed, Joan.
Well, thank
So
you very much, Allison.
you're both. You're all the things. You're everything. But Joan, thank you so much. I'm a massive, massive, massive fan of you, and not just your music, but you as a human being and
Thank you.
everything you do, and the fact that you continue to be an inspiration. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
How awesome is Joan? I mean, I think that we can all agree that she is the epitome of a rock star. Not up for debate. Enough said. Thank you in advance. It is now time for my sound advice. New music you need to know featured on the Allison Hagendorf Show playlist, and you can find the link to that in the show notes. First up this week is a band called Moy. They are from one of my favorite cities, Glasgow. They write and record all their own music themselves. I'm definitely hearing influences from bands like The Cure on this one, which you know I love The Cure. This is Moy, and their song is Thank God for Mental Illness. Next on my sound advice is the band The Blackhearts. They are from Paris and they have their debut album coming out later this year. They cite fellow French artists Daft Punk and Justice as influences. I am definitely also hearing some 1975 and M83 vibes here as well. Make sure you listen to The Blackhearts' latest song, 20. Meet Me at the Altar is an all-female pop punk band you need to know. They originally all connected online and had such an innate chemistry in their songwriting. This song is my favorite one yet. Their debut album, Past, Present, Future, is out next week. I'm loving this latest song. It's called Cool. Crawlers are a British band from Liverpool. Their song Come Over went viral on TikTok, but this is my favorite song of theirs, and it actually has my favorite lyric as well. It goes, I couldn't fix you, so I broke myself instead. I mean, come on, incredible lyrics. Check out Crawlers and their song, Too Soon. Friday Pilots Club is a band I love. Members are from both Chicago and Southern California. They are influenced by bands like The Strokes and The Killers and newer bands as well, like Nothing But Thieves were one of my personal favorites. This was one of those songs. They wrote it over a couple of margaritas. It came together in just a few hours. I love hearing stories like that. This is Friday Pilots Club, and the song is called Life Support. That's my sound advice this week. You can find them all on the Allison Hagendorf Show playlist, which is on every platform, and the link is in the show notes below and on my site, AllisonHagendorf.com. Thank you so much for being part of the Allison Hagendorf Show. New episodes drop every Friday morning, so make sure you follow and subscribe so you don't miss a thing. I am telling you, our lineup for March Women's History Month, it is fire. I am really, really, really proud of it. You can find the show wherever you listen to podcasts, and you can also watch the show on Instagram and YouTube. I would really love to hear from you, so please like, comment, rate, review, whatever you're feeling, and reach out to me on socials at Allie Hagendorf. I would love to connect with you. Thanks again. I'll see you next week. And remember, you're a rock star. It's okay to say that. Joan said it was okay.